Hello, Yakri here with another Warframe video. And I'm doing this a little bit backwards, but I want to go over the Warframe update 22.20.0 and actually just, talk through all of the changes, or at least, the more notable changes, since there's a huge amount of them and this video would bloat all out of proportion if I actually went through like all the fixes and stuff. Saren, I'm only going to give a quick overview to because, of course, I've already made a video on her. But let's go over it pretty quickly. So now her spores inflict corrosive procs, they have an infinite duration, and they scale up in damage endlessly over time. Okay, so that's great. Molt gives her a small speed boost when you cast it, and it scales like Iron Skin does, where enemies deal damage to it, and that gives it more HP, and then it, it takes them longer to kill it, basically, so it doesn't insta-pop at higher levels. Toxic Lash now affects all weapons instead of just your melee weapon, and is twice as effective on your melee weapon, making it just a very good ability in general, I think, and a lot more flexible. Now, Miasma is not super different, except that it now has the viral proc instead of the corrosive proc. Personally, I've found, and they also increased the range. Of course they did. Right, I didn't actually notice this earlier that they had increased the range. I noticed it was longer range than spores, but I just assumed I missed that before and was misremembering. Anyway, they increased the range, they increased the base duration, so this makes it easier to tank duration on Saren a little bit and still be effective. It also means that with Miasma, you're going to very easily be able to apply viral procs instantly to the entire map, because it's a 100% viral proc on the first tick, which is instant on cast. So it makes it very easy to apply virals to the whole map, probably even easier than before. You can't cover quite as large of an area, I suppose, because spores can spread out to really far away enemies, then pop over there and then spread out even farther than their range. But still, you can get like 56 meters of viral proc AoE. And then it keeps reprocking viral for the entire duration. And with Saren's passive as well, it means that the viral proc is going to stay on enemies for a very long time, which makes her a much more effective like map nuker at lower levels, and it makes her as good or better at spreading viral procs compared to how she was before. Her base armor and Saren Prime's base armor both went up, which is nice. Basically, Saren is a little bit too squishy. She's still, she's not squishy like Ember is squishy, but she's on the squishy side of frames that kind of scale into endgame and kind of get in the middle of things. Especially because it's almost necessary, really, to take damage and what's what I'm looking for here? Take damage and use Rage or Hunters, whatever that one was called. The other one is, in order to get your energy back. Anyway, so overall, I would say she's much better. She doesn't lag. She would cause some CPU lag even on my PC once in a while, and that's gone. Yeah, I would say overall, a lot of people are giving their different opinions on this. I'll probably make another video on Saren in a day or two, or maybe a little sooner, doing an actual guide to her and talk about why I think she's much better now. I'll have to wait and see a bit if a DE makes any further changes to her in hotfixes. But overall, I think it's a huge improvement to her. She's not necessarily much more powerful than she was before, but she plays a lot better and is a lot easier for people to understand while still being a fairly involved frame to play effectively. Okay, so that pretty much goes over Saren's changes. Dojo Remaster, I'm gonna kind of skip over this stuff because honestly I don't care about it that much. I like to stick to mostly gameplay balance related things. I do think it's pretty cool, in particular the obstacle course creator, very awesome, and that's about that. GPU particles, okay, I got a nerd, despite what I just said about things that are graphical or style changes, gotta nerd out about this. Very cool what they've done with the GPU particle changes. To replace PhysX particles so you can run particles on the GPU. I hope we get to see some new crazy particle effects coming out from DE's team in the future, because they can trust that they'll actually be able to run on most people's computers. This is just a pretty cool tech change under the hood. Anyway, I think it's cool. Samaras now offers some new mods. The Jinn mod is pretty cool. That's really the one we care about, right? Upon death, automatically revives itself. It can't ever permanently die. it's kind of, as long as you don't need carriers, well, you don't need carriers ammo mutation, which is very powerful, don't get me wrong. As long as you don't need that, I think that kind of makes Jin the best companion, period. Because it's very problematic, actually, in higher level missions. They just die all the time. Anyway. Scrambus changes. This is a pretty notable change. So this is really cool. They're changing how the Scrambus works to make it easier to counterplay. Basically, they pulse out like an expanding sphere, kind of like a nullifier bubble, that disables your powers and locks you out of them for 2.5 seconds. Yes, that's right, 2.5 seconds. And if you shoot them in the helmet, you can break it, which will destroy the bubble as it's spreading, or if you kill them, that will also stop the bubble spreading. So that's like the counter to them. You can also, like, it's pretty obvious. Let me see if I can pop this up, because it's pretty obvious. Oh, whoop. All right, yeah, you can see the bubble spreading out like fairly easily, right? So it's not too hard to potentially dodge it if you're quick on your feet and paying attention. And also, they're actually kind of hard to see sometimes in the cluster of enemies around, so that might actually be somewhat of a notification to you that there's a Scrambus running around, and you see that bubble expanding, you can jump away from it and shoot into there and take them out. So I think that's pretty cool. I'm a big fan of the change. I think that these kind of enemies that disable or in some way counter Warframe powers are kind of essential for content being challenging in the slightest. But the way that they worked previously was a little bullshit. Similar thing with nullifiers, right? They've gone in a much better direction with these more recently, I think. Dargon changes. It's just easier to hijack Dargons. You can hijack the Dargons when they're just floating around by shooting the guy out of it instead of destroying it. And yeah, pretty cool. Some HUD changes. Grineer shipyard layout changes. Equinox got an alternate helmet. It's pretty cool, as I recall. I wonder if it's not really quickly look at it. I think it's a pretty cool looking helmet, so that's nice. Let's see, Captura changes and fixes, skipping over that. Ah, yes, these small Korra fixes / buffs. So in snare-based ranged increase, the line of sight check from it is gone. And frankly, in my opinion, in most cases, it still worked pretty well. It was just once in a while, it got a little fucky. However, big one is, I don't know if they put this down in the fixes. I think they did put it down in the fixes. So Whip Claw, if you used Whip Claw within Snare or didn't use Whip Claw within Snare, there's like some issue where Ensnare would just end early and free all enemies, which it wasn't supposed to do. So it was very, very, very broken, and basically didn't work. It was bad enough that it pretty much didn't work. So that's great. Range mod affects Whip Claw's AoE radius. That's nice. It's capped at 10 meters, I believe. However, I mean, still, you can double its range if you have primed reach, or primed reach. Now, what's her name? Your robot's name? Venari. Yeah, Venari can teleport to enemies now. When you give it a command to attack someone, it teleports to attack. So that's very cool. Makes it work a little bit better because it would usually get stuck pathing, and they've just, done a lot of tweaks on Venari actually being able to get to enemies and attack them. I'm still kind of skeptical about Korra's overall utility and power level, but at least I think this is a good point to actually make a guide on her. So I'll probably do that soon. And she's kind of middling, mediocre, not that interesting, I think. But on the upside, Strangledome is still hilarious when you like jump onto the ceiling, activate it up there, and all the enemies just kind of get sucked up and swing around. And yeah, you shouldn't do that though because it's pretty annoying. But it's funny. It amuses me quite a lot. Anyway, so the Bombard has basically just been nerfed. Yeah, so the Bombard explosion radius reduced from 6 to 4 meters. The Napalm explosion radius was ridiculous, nerfed from 10 to 4 meters. And they lowered some of Bombard's health too. I didn't read this too closely last time. I think this is like pretty good. The AoE on those projectiles was just kind of ridiculous, like altogether. So I'm a big fan. Melee attacks don't go through walls anymore. This is in preparation for the melee rework, which I guess is not coming this week, but it's coming soon, TM. And this is basically a change to reduce the ridiculous ranges people were getting. Like if you had like a Skoliak whip especially, or one of the other non-Atarax whips that were less popular, and you got a Riven for plus range and also use Prime Reach, you could easily have like a over 25 meter range on your melee attacks and would go through walls. Like at this point, it's like almost a Warframe ultimate ability that just nukes enemies in a huge area around you. Except you can use it really quickly, really often. It doesn't require energy, and you can be used on any Warframe. So yeah, very, very broken. I think this is a good change. Although I hope we'll see some tweaks to how picky it is about what it decides a wall is, right? Because there are some issues with that right now. And so hopefully if that gets sorted out, this change will be in a much better place, and should, you know, be a good preemption? Good change going into Melee 2.0, 3.0. What are we at now? Well, anyway, I think it's for the best, honestly, because it was a little bit broken. A lot of people are sad to see it go, but I'm not too disappointed. I don't think, unless you do those really abusive strategies, it changes very little about how you use Melee in the game. Although, you know, the actual Melee rework is going to change a lot about how you use Melee in the game, so we'll have to see about how good that is. So, a bunch of other changes, mostly visual. Let's see. You know, and then we're into like a million fixes. Yeah, like there's a million fixes. Seriously, like, look at all this shit. Idle animations for Haro and tons of skin tweaks, like a trillion. Look at all those error fixes. Those are just bug fixes, right? And then there's a hot fix that fixed some more bugs that were introduced this patch. I'm sure we'll have more hot fixes fixing even more bugs introduced this patch. Anyway, so to summarize, Saren got a rework. She's probably at a similar power level to what she was at before, but I think she's much better overall, in my opinion. Melee was nerfed in general, but especially abusive strategies in Melee. Cool stuff came in from dojos. A shitload of fixes and optimizations came through. Particle effects running on any GPU, or pretty much any GPU, have come through, agnostic of physics. And I'm forgetting anything else? Oh, there was this controller change. Yeah, this doesn't really... yeah, if you use a controller on PC, you can do this virtual controller thing. So this doesn't affect me, so I'm just kind of like, well, I've seen some people be very excited about it though, so that's cool, as long as it's useful for someone, right? We got some new mods, and that's pretty much the whole summary. That's what happened this update. Oh yeah, and Korra was improved. Almost forgot about Korra. So easy to forget about. So bland. Like, she's like saltine crackers. The saltine crackers of new Warframes. Yeah, I think that's a good way to describe her now. Now that she's been fixed. Before she was like a soggy saltine cracker. Now she's just like a regular saltine cracker. Could be fun if dipped in soup, but otherwise, bland. Okay, that's all for now. Thank you for watching. If you like this content and want to see more like it, please like, comment, and subscribe. Or let me know what kind of videos you'd like to see me making in the future, or ask me any questions you have. That's all for now. Yakri out.